Welcome to another exciting episode of the Million Dollar Peddlers. I'm Paperboy.
And I'm Mr. Magazine.
I'm going to give you a quiz, Mr. Magazine. I'm going to give it to you,
Okay.
Mr. Magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And I also am giving it to Mr. Magazine's thoughts of his employees.
Okay.
So I picked up a 1948, let's say, 1952, something like that, Look magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And it mentioned two people on the cover.
Okay.
One is a boxer,
All right.
and it said something like, should Sugar Ray keep fighting?
Okay.
Who was it about?
I would think Sugar Ray Robinson.
And who would your employees think it was about if they even thought anybody?
I was going to say nobody, but if they did any research, it would probably be Sugar Ray Leonard trying to come up higher in searches and so forth.
So that would be who they would think they would
would
put
think
together.
so.
Right.
It's one of those things where if I caught that ahead, if I gave them the pile and didn't know, they would probably do that. But if I obviously saw it, I would tell them or put a post-it who it was, you know.
And the other one was...
Or it could be the rapper Sugar Ray. Or there's a singer rapper.
Okay,
Sugar Ray.
there's two people out there. Even his father.
Well,
wouldn't
he's
think
not
it
a
was
boxer,
him.
though, the rapper. Yeah, so.
Even his father wouldn't think that was Mark McGrath, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
You got it.
I
Yeah.
know his name. So, and then the other one is it was a African American singer from that era, and it said Dandridge. Any idea at all?
Dorothy Dandridge?
Nice. And would your employees even make
No
a guess
clue,
on that?
no. Yeah.
And
They wouldn't even think Ray Dandridge.
who's a football player, yes, or a baseball
Baseball,
player,
yes,
yes,
yes.
baseball player, yes. So I guess the point is, when you're in a niche and you're doing you aced the test right there, so congratulations.
Thank you.
You're around magazines enough that you know that. Certainly, you're not as deep into the niche of the 1940s and before magazines like I am.
Yeah.
But you're around them enough. And
Sure.
I could probably do a passing grade on 1980s magazines, maybe on 90s. I don't know about that. But, you know, and again, but you're in that niche. You just see a name, and then you immediately know, oh, Sugar Ray Robinson, he's a boxer.
Right.
You don't have to do any more research beyond that because you've got somebody or other that'll sell, to mention the name. You don't have to do any further research on it all.
Right.
I mean, I guess technically it could have been some boxer like, Sugar Ray Jones that nobody's ever heard of. But if you do list that, then somebody will certainly tell you on the internet very, very quickly. Well,
Exactly.
why'd you list Sugar Ray Jones?
Yep.
But have you noticed that over time? You probably notice it more with action figures and things like that you don't really have to do any research at all on a lot of things. You just take one look at it, you know who the character is or what the...
For myself, I do know just from experience over the years, but like action figures loose with my employees, forget it. They have, a couple Star ones they'll know, or a couple
Right,
Transformers,
C-3PO or Chewbacca,
when you
right?
get into like 100 G.I. Joes, they might know 0 to 3.
Cobra.
And I might know
Commander.
25 of them,
Right.
And then this one guy I've been buying toys from, he just showed me that Google app where you can just take the picture
Oh, yeah.
and it'll bring up something of that character, and so that might help down the road listing a loose figure. So
That's actually was it Google Lens probably or something like
Yeah.
that? And that's really, really good for the stuff that you're listing because then you get into like He-Man characters.
right, yeah.
And, you've got all of those and you don't know the names of those.
Well, it saves you time. One click, boom. Instead of like, oh, here's an encyclopedia of GI Joes. Now go look for it. Well, you still got to go find them in there. You don't know what year or era or whatever, what version. So yeah, it's definitely better. I would use the Google app.
Which gets me thinking, and mention down in the comments below, because I've never used any of those Google apps for things like that. I've used a picture on the computer, and I found one time, and this may help you actually if you're out there. It was on a movie still, unidentified movie still, and I took a picture of it, scanned it in, and I dragged it into the Google Pictures, and it matched it right up to the movie. And that's the only time that's ever helped me.
Yeah.
But I could see it helping with movies and things like that
Right,
because
sure.
it's going to know that.
Yeah.
Can you think of any time when that would help us with a magazine? I really can't because the magazine tends to have the title on it.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we tend to know what it is.
One, but that's more your gig than mine.
Right, and I do use that, and we do have a video about using that. If you've never used that before, Google Translate, you can put that on your phone, and they've actually updated it. It's a lot better now than it was before. So yeah, I do use that for Google Translate. even just to find the language out,
Yeah.
it's a tremendous help on that, because sometimes you get into some of those. Is this Hungarian, or is this, or you get in a lot of times with some of the is this Danish, or is it Norwegian, or is it Swedish?
My one lister that does the adult with the Playboys, we got the international ones, and some of those languages are similar.
Yeah, they're very similar.
They
Yes.
look like Russian, but it could be something else.
It could be Ukrainian.
Yeah,
It could be.
so
Yeah.
she's got to do a lot of searching on that. Yeah.
Just go to in one like that. This only works if it has our alphabet. But if it has our alphabet, you just go to Google Translate and type in a sentence, and it'll tell you the language.
Oh.
Just a random sentence from the book. So if you're like, is this German, or is this Swiss German, or is this just type it in?
Every
and it'll tell
mistake
you.
we make, if similar ones, there's an expert out there every time.
They will tell
He
you.
lets us know every time. Yeah.
Well, and then the other problem too is you get into like Brazilian versus Portuguese versus so those are tough as well. But the point today, there was a point, believe it or not, but hopefully that little side foray helped you a little bit over there, just give you a different way of thinking when you're doing research on what to do. And I've never done the Google Lens, but that is a good idea depending upon what the items are. Is as you do the same thing, I guarantee you there are people that are full-time toy dealers that needn't look up any of the Masters of the Universe figures.
Oh, right. Yeah.
They just get it and they immediately look at it. Or
and the parts, that's a more amazing thing. Is they know what these little obscure parts are, like one little weapon or something from, Thundercats. I would not know that, and some people just know it. They just know it all.
Just know it all. Yep.
Yeah.
So that is one of the big advantages of getting down deep into a niche is, not that 1940s pop culture is a niche, but, I happen to know, and Mr. Magazine did as well, Dorothy Dandridge and Sugar Ray Robinson. And the more magazines that I handle from that era, same thing, you get back into the 1880s, 1890s, you'll find magazines back there, and they'll have stories by various authors, and I'll be like, oh, Josiah Allen's wife.
Yeah.
That's a regularly published, I've seen books, that's going to be somebody that I'm going to mention. These other three people I've never heard of before, so if I've got limited space, I'm only going to list, the one that I've heard of.
When in doubt, scan the table of contents.
Oh, I do that as well. Yeah, I do
Can
that
never
as
hurt.
well. But
Can never hurt.
yeah, but again, it saves a lot of time because you're more likely to make the sale as well, as opposed to, well, which of these five, that is one of the problems. I recently picked up a collection of a lot of stuff, magazines, opera magazines. I don't know any modern opera stars. I just don't. So I mention who's on the cover, and then I just start mentioning other names inside.
Yeah,
I could certainly be missing the key opera star that'll sell.
Right.
That being said, if I start noticing that, hey, wait a minute, I listed this star on 3 different magazines, and all 3 of those sold.
Right.
This is somebody who's more in demand, and I'll learn that there.
In a year or two, you'll be an opera expert. Just take some time, just like we were 10 years ago, and now we're an expert on automobiles or whatever else it is.
Yeah. So hopefully that helps you a little bit. Trust me, if you're just breaking into a niche, if you stay in it, you will definitely learn. And again, Mr. Magazine passed the test with flying colors, but his employees probably would not have, just because they don't deal in that stuff all the time, and they're also much younger than we are.
Right, true, yeah.
So that's another part of it as well. So hopefully that helps you a little bit. Do hit the like button, and we will see you next video.
Take care. Bye-bye.